Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear friends. Allah bless you all. Let's continue with our look at Surah al-Hijr, al-Fatiha. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تفرحه وتسعده وترضيه واجزه بها عنا ما هو أهله يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا وأكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا وأرضنا وارض عنا يا كريم. So, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we were last looking at the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim, how the angels came and then how they gave him the good news of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. And then the story moves on to Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. So they actually came to destroy and punish the people of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. These people who he had married into them, and they were they had many vile actions, and they had actions that went against human, how Allah has created the human being and human nature. So they would violate people and they would harm them. So they brought the punishment upon themselves. So let's see what happens. So فَلَمَّا جَاءَ آلَ لُوطٍ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. So when the messenger angels came to the family of Lot alayhi salatu wasalam. So al here can refer to all the people as well. So all the villagers, but specifically it can mean Sayyidina Lut and his family. Ja'a, as you know, it can have the meaning of something slow, because something slow comes in a grand way, or the thing that coming is grand and tremendous, or the thing that's it's going to can also be referred to as being tremendous. So these people came, so these messengers came, and their form will have been, you'd expect normally prophets see angels and they can recognize this is actually an angel in human form. So it seems like their form was different. Their form was one that a prophet, even one as great as Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, didn't recognize immediately. So as them being angels. So they came, and what's tremendous about them is that obviously they're representatives of Allah Azza wa Jal, but they've also come to perform a task, and it's a serious task, but there's wisdom in it, and there's benefit for humanity in it. And there is an element of sadness because these people brought the punishment of God upon themselves. So the Al of Lut here refers not just to him, but his family and his tribe, as I said. And as we see in Surah Al-Dhariyat, they said that they only found one house of people in submission to God, the family of Sayyidina Lut. There may have been other believers, and but that's what happened. They came to Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, and he said, قال إنكم قوم منكرون. He said, you must be strangers. So they said this to him. So he said this to them, that they're munkarun, people who he doesn't normally see, he doesn't recognize them. So with the innakum nominal sentence starting with inna, highly emphasized, and he's showing shock, which I'll explain shortly. So he emphasizes that they're not normally, people who they see normally. So he doesn't recognize them, doesn't recognize their tribes. This puts them at risk, right? As the people of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, if they saw strangers, they just consider them easy targets. Let's go, harm them. And it also, highlights the worry and concern Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam had for all people, right? But especially strangers, and they've come to his house. So he feels a sense of duty, he feels a sense of obligation to them. Now, what's happening here, as Imam Abu Sa'ud and Ibn Ashur radiallahu anhuma both mentioned, that Allah gives us the story in two parts now. Allah gives us the story after the people of Lut recognize these people first, and then we go back and then we're shown how they're given an initial punishment, and then later the actual punishment came down. So this is what happens. So Sayyidina Lut is full of concern, full of worry for these people. What are they going to do if they find out? Especially, they're in the form of young men, young handsome men, and this is going to be something that his people would have found irresistible, especially when there's no law, there's no, it's just a tribal system, and they're on their turf. The angels, or as they see these young men, are on their turf. They can do what they want, and it must have been a very, very difficult situation for Sayyidina Lut. And so he said, "Innakum qawmun munkarun." I mean, initially, so there's two possibilities when this could have happened. As Imam al-Biqai says, if it was before, then Sayyidina Lut would have felt concerned for them. But if it was after this, and he said this after they initially punished those people who tried to enter the house and harm them, then it will have been, the statement will mean that, like, your people I don't recognize, like, there's worry underneath that what's going to happen. Have you come with a punishment for these people? And just like he's concerned for the angels who, the strangers, let's say, he also has concern for the actual tribe. But they're not wanting to change, so Allah's punishment came. So he said, "Innakum qawmun," people who are just munkarun, unrecognized. You don't look like you're from any of the tribes that we know that normally pass here. They said, "Qalu bal ji'naka bima kanu fihi yamtarun." So, but they said no, right? So you don't need to worry about us. You don't need to be afraid, right? This is what this idrab. So in Arabic we have this concept of idrab ibtali or idrab intiqali. Idrab ibtali is, you say something, you say the weather's nice, I say no, the weather's cold, or the weather's not nice. You say the weather's pleasant, and I say no, it's actually really nice today. So in the first one I negate what you've said and mention the opposite. But the second one is I negate what you said, but I say something greater, stronger. So, here, the idrab here, they said, no, like, don't worry, that, we're not people that, they're going to be able to harm. We've come with this. Bal ji'na, bal atayn ji'naka. So we've come, and they reckon the wording indicates that they're tremendous, and they've come with a tremendous matter. Bima kanu fihi yamtarun. We have come to you with that torment which they regularly doubted. And so the word torment isn't in the verse. You can understand the verse to mean we've come to you with the matter, or we've come to you with the punishment. So it's implied, and that's why some of the Mufassirin had a different opinion on this. But generally, that's what they're saying, that this matter that they had doubts about, we brought you that. Yamtarun. So, imtira. So, I mean, the root word is like someone who's milking a cow, and it involves a degree of motion from side to side. And so, doubt is where this imtira is there, where you don't sit still. Is it this, or is it this? Is it this, or is it that? You keep, internally, the person who's going through it, it doesn't feel at ease. So usually it's doubt, and then this causes them to start arguing with people. That's what Sayyid Tantawi says, right? It can bring about arguments. So it causes unease, right? That can lead to arguments. And the angels are affirming that the punishment that those people, kept doubting, that's what they've brought. And the present tense, yamtarun, even now they're in doubt. Even now these people don't care. Even now they're ready to, harm the guests of Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, just to fulfill their, base carnal desires. And they still don't think there are any consequences. So they still have doubts regarding this. Yamtarun, they're still in doubt about this. They're saying, no, we've come to you with that matter. Which matter? The punishment. Clearly, he must have said, look, you're doing something contrary to God's law and command and will. Don't do it, lest something happens to you. So they'll say, no, well, we've come to you with the thing that they would, they were doubting about. And this is the way of the disbelievers. They will mock the believers, and they'll say, what punishment? Let's see it, bring it now. But when it does come, that's when they don't have the capacity to mock it. Allah protect us. And then they said, وَأَتَيْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ, and we have come to you with the truth, and we are certainly truthful. So ataynaka, so the previous word jitnaka indicates something slow or something tremendous, but here now, because it's the time of the punishment, it's the absolute truth. The truth is that a sentence has been passed on these people and they will not get away. They are going to be punished. So ataynaka, we have come to you. So as is it Abu Saud? I think it's Imam Abu Saud. He says that it's as though we've come to you with the truth, with this punishment that is due. It's fitting, it's wise, appropriate for them, and it's as though like they're giving it to him, they're delegating it to him. You dispense with the punishment. And because to be honest with you, even if someone has care and concern for people, if you keep seeing them commit wrongdoing after wrongdoing against people, there's a point where like people wish that if only they would stop. And I mean, just look at Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. He did pray against his people after he knew none of them would ever change and none of them would ever believe, and any children that were born after that point would also become evil. So he prayed against them. So anyway, that's one interpretation. But so ataynaka bil haqq wa inna la sadiqun, and we've come to you with the absolute truth, the haqq, the truth that's going to devastate them and prove which side, i.e. Sayyidina Lut, is on Allah's side, and which side was on the own ego side. Wa inna la sadiqun, and we are absolutely true, right? There's no way that this is changing or it's wrong. So the angels affirm that they come with absolute truth, which is this punishment that's going to happen, and the sentence has been passed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the wise supreme king. He knows what's best for them. So he knows that the punishment at this moment is appropriate. The angels have come, and Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, we're going to see that when the guests, when they're seen and his people come in, they try to harm them, and then they were punished. They were given a minor punishment before, but the angels have come. It's twofold. It's also is to say that yes, we've come to punish them, but they're also coming to rescue Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam and his children and his family, except for his wife. So that good news is a key focus of their message here as well. So they're consoling him, Sayyidina Lut, to reassure him that their mission was to confirm the truth of his message and prove that God's command was absolute, and show that once the decree is made, nothing changes. So it's haqq, something right, fitting. It's not going to be changed. And so Sayyidina Lut accepts this. Clearly he's a messenger of God, and he accepts it. And so the bal, as I talked about, the idrab, it negates and cancels out the doubt Sayyidina Lut had, that are they going to come to any harm, and and also saying that they're not ordinary people, so he can recognize now that they're from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They've come with a purpose, a divine purpose, and there's multiple forms of emphasis used in this to alleviate his concerns, right? He doesn't want them to be harmed. So let's say Tantawi mentions quite a few rhetorical devices and a number of things mentioned here that really work to dispel any worries, fear, and concerns that Sayyidina Lut had, and Allah expressed it all beautifully in the Arabic language. And sometimes going into it is useful and beneficial. Sometimes it's just there's a degree of complexity that a simple tafsir like this doesn't convey. So, but it's there. It's really eloquent and beautiful. So then the next verse is, they say to Sayyidina Lut, فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ بقطع من الليل واتبع أدبارهم ولا يلتفت منكم أحد وامضوا حيث تؤمرون. So travel with your family in the dark of the night and follow closely behind them. Do not let any of you look back and go where you are commanded. Okay, so they told him, for asri bi ahlika. So asri from the word isra, which means to travel at night, right? Or to to make someone travel at night. Sara or surah is traveling at night. Asri makes someone travel at night. Take them at night. And qita literally means from qata'a, to cut something. So it's a piece of something. But in this context, it's the last part of the night because they were close. Alaysa subhu bi qareeb, as they say also in the Quran. Isn't morning close? Like you should get going. And so Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam is told to leave with his family. And there's a number of things here in what he's told to do, right? Follow behind everyone. وَاتَّبِعْ أَدْبَارَهُمْ. So firstly, leave in that last part of the night. And they're told to leave in that last part of the night because it's immediate. The punishment is going to come down, and they need to have as much time as possible. So they need to leave in order to get as much distance between them and the villagers. Remember, the whole area was taken up into the sky and flipped and brought back down, and stones were rained down upon them, probably beforehand. So it's going to be a serious matter. So they said, to him, leave for asri bi ahlika bi qit'in min al-layli wattabi' adbarahum, and you follow their backs. So normally, like someone's important, some rulers, they'll make sure that, everyone else is behind them. All the cannon fodder, get put in harm's way so they can escape. So that's clearly not the case here. So Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, be behind the believers. So as I said, if it was just his daughters, it's understandable him as a father. If there were other believers, then him as a prophet. But he's behind them. And so if he's ahead, he might get ahead, someone might lag behind. But if he's directly behind, he'll be helping them, encouraging them, keep going, don't look back, keep moving forward, progress on. And this is really important because you can tell this must have been a very emotional time for his daughters, their mother, though she did betray him by telling her people that these young men are here. But his daughters, the mother of his daughters, his wife, will remain behind. So there's clearly going to be pain. He's lived there for God knows how many years, and the daughters, and if there were other people there, they're also going to feel pain at the loss of their homeland, loss of everyone who they know, and knowing that a punishment is going to come down on them, and it's most likely to be destructive, as we know it was. And so there's all these worries, fear, and concerns. Sometimes someone thinks, I can't go ahead with it, I'm going to stop, I need to have a look. But each step that they don't take and each moment they delay, it can put them at harm, or just seeing the punishment, and it's just scary. It's going to be really scary. So they said to him, follow their backs, make sure that you're behind them so you can keep leading them on. And by being at the back, it would guarantee all those ahead of him would be safe, and he's going to be protected. He's a prophet of God. Maybe if he's ahead, some of them might get harmed, but he'll be safe. So if he's at the back, it makes the most sense. So the angel said, "Wala yaltafit minkum ahadun." Iltifat is literally means to look around, right? Iltafata, but here it means to look back. So none of you look back. Don't look back at the punishment, lest you either start feeling really emotional for the people who are getting punished there, or it slow you down, or you just by seeing how heinous it is, it affects you, right? Anyone who's seen this punishment, or anyone who's seen the aspect of the jalal of Allah Azza wa Jal, the majesty of Allah being manifested, it necessarily has an effect on your heart. And subhanallah, Allah protect us. And imagine if you saw the hellfire, how would the rest of your day be? How would your week be? It would scare you right to the core of your being. And these people are gonna, if they looked back, if they looked back, they would have seen one of the most severe punishments they could imagine, right? And so it would only cause them pain. So they were told, don't look back. Save yourself the worry and the distress, and don't look back. Yeah. وقضينا إليه ذلك الأمر أن دابر هؤلاء مقطوع مصبحين. And Allah decreed, we revealed to him this decree, those sinners will be uprooted in the morning. So he said, we decreed, and obviously the angels conveyed this from Allah Azza wa Jal to Sayyidina Lut. So we decreed to him and told him that matter, that tremendous matter, that the dabir of these people will be severed in the morning. What does it mean? So qadayna, we decreed, we judged. So there's a judgment from Allah. The sentence has been passed. It's just going to be carried out. Nothing can change it. And so dabir means the last one, from dubur, which means your back. It can mean backside. But so the dabir is the last. Imagine a whole tribe is lined up, and the last person you'd say he's the dabir. And so he says, and the dabira ha'ula'i. Ha'ula is pointing to, it's a demonstrative pronoun to point to something close. But just like something being far or high can give the meaning of reverence, here it means contempt. So these people, that even the very last one of these people is going to be cut off, severed. So maqtu'un literally is something cut off, but it's a metaphor for destruction. So so they're going to be destroyed down to the last man. So it means to sever something, maqtu, and metaphorically it means to be eliminated or ended. So the last person, and the dabira ha'ula'i, that the very last man of these people, maqtu'un, is cut off. Not will be, is, even though it hasn't happened yet, he is, in the context of when they were saying this to him, it is cut off. Implies each and every one of them will be eliminated. And Musbihin, as they're entering the morning, as we saw, sabah means the morning. So as soon as dawn or sunlight comes, or sunrise, then that's when they would be destroyed. وَجَاءَ أَهْلُ الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. So now the story or the event goes back to when the angels first came. And so we're going to see the event play out. The angels, so the good news and the warning is gone, and so it's as though they've left and they've saved themselves. Now, excuse me. Now we have the scenario where the people come thinking, oh, he's got some young men as guests, and وَجَاءَ أَهْلُ الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And then the people of the city came, Medina as well, this large city. It's like they've come from all over, rejoicing. Istibshar is to be as happy as possible, right? Full of delight, because they thought, yes, they were ready to, abuse and violate his guests. So they're happy about it, like people who know they're going to do something wrong, and they're doing it collectively, and they think we're untouchable, nothing can happen to us, everyone's on our side. This is what the attitude was. So they've come incredibly happy, showing much joy. Yastabshirun, as they're sharing the news of their happiness with one another, making each other feel pleased. What's becoming clear is that they're stuck in their ways, their deviant nature. They just don't care, even if they're going to violate, complete strangers. And so Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, at this point, remember what actually happened. They came in, there's a bit of a discussion, and then the angels revealed themselves, and then they punished these people. We see in Surah Al-Qamar, فَطَمَسْنَا أَعْيُنَهُمْ. Allah said, we effaced their eyes, like their faces might have been burnt or something, but they lost their eyesight, and then they left. And then after that, the entire village received its punishment. But at this point, Sayyidina Lut is concerned that they're his guests, and these people have come, and guests were something sacred, even in those times, those places, even like in Greece. If you look at Odysseus, right, when his Odyssey, when he goes back, and his wife and his servant, they don't recognize him, and like his servant lady, she gives him a bath, as in, like, he sits there, she washes his feet, right? And but that's done because there's a recognition that the guest is sacred, he deserves some honoring. And but these people didn't care, they just wanted to have their way. So Sayyidina Lut, when he sees that these people, the angels are not, worried, at this, he thinks, they don't know what's going on. So he thinks it's up to him. So he says, قَالَ إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ ضَيْفِي فَلَا تَفْضَحُونَ. He said, these people are my guests. Do not embarrass me. Do not do something that would make me, embarrassed or, humiliated in front of them. Don't, and this is before the guests know is one thing, but once the guests know, what are they going to think? What have you come to do? How are you treating them? And so he said, فَلَا تَفْضَحُونَ. Don't expose me, don't humiliate me. And what is he doing? He's trying to make them feel something, compassion and humanity, that these people are guests. Imagine if you were guests somewhere, they would have to care for you, but you don't think, you don't recognize this, you don't recognize my responsibility for them. They've come to me. So he's doing his best, but they're not interested. And then he doesn't want this, what you call a fadiha, right? Doing something that would bring shame upon a person. And maybe you have a case in modern times and modern places, people don't care about this, but in the past it was a significant thing, that your word is your bond, and your honor and your dignity, and you don't want anything like this to happen where you're exposed. And so he's saying, don't expose me, don't do this, don't do this. But they don't seem to want to listen, because the hawa has taken over. Hawa, this egotistical stubbornness, this folly that you think, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't care about anything else, and you'll make every excuse in the world to avoid doing what's right. And then you just want to do this particular thing. Hawa, right? It's a very serious matter, and it can cause people a lot of harm. And so he's trying to save them. He's trying to save them. But he's doing it, instead of saying, don't touch them, he's trying to bring out feelings within them that would make them feel that they shouldn't do this. But clearly that didn't work. So he said, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُخْزُونَ, and fear Allah and don't humiliate me. Fear Allah regarding what you're trying to do, what you're thinking, and know that it's a wrong action. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates it. And so don't do this. Right, don't do this. This one action now could have long-term implications and consequences for you. And and like he said, it would reflect but poorly on him, right? Because he's their host. So he's trying to get them to stop, listen, and reflect, and proceed, not proceed with the actions. But as I said, sometimes the hawa is so strong, people just don't care. And then he says, they say, قالوا أولم ننهك عن العالمين. They responded, have we not forbidden you from protecting anyone? Just look at that. They say, have we not told you you're not allowed to protect anyone? Have we not told you don't let anyone stay with you? Have we not warned you of this before? It's as though he's done something wrong, and they've given him multiple ultimatums. So he needs to, get ready and, realize that he's done something that's broken their code. But in actual fact, they're those who lost all sense of goodness and morality and righteousness. And the guests are not even, even if they were real people, they're not into what these people are into. So it's like they're saying, did we not tell you, stay away from people, don't protect anyone, because we're not going to respect it. So it's like they're saying, the time's come, we're not going to respect it. And as we see in Surah Al-Qamar, فَطَمَسْنَا أَعْيُنَهُمْ, Allah effaced their eyes, the eyeballs don't even remain, it's just gone. And then the punishment actually came, right? A'udhu billah. Allah protect us. And so let's stop here, and we will continue and talk about the coming verses afterwards, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.